Welcome to Cash Chats with me, Andy Webb from BeCleverWithYourCash.com. This is the podcast to help you make the most of your money. In episode 380, I'm going to take you through Monzo's new paid-for upgrades, including ones that get you a free Greggs every week and a free rail card. I'll explain what they all entail and whether they're worth it. I also look at a new cashback debit card from investment app Trading212. Again, is it worth getting? Plus, I want to take you through the top ways to get your holiday cash, the cheapest options, so you're getting the most for your pounds when you're swapping them into euros, dollars, and everything else. All of that and our deals of the week. So make sure you stay tuned for all of those. This is episode 380 of Cash Chats. When I go abroad on holiday, most of my spending is done with a specialist debit or credit card, one that does not charge a fee for converting the currency from pounds into whatever currency you're actually spending with. You can also use those debit cards particularly for cash withdrawals at ATMs. So most of the time, these specialist cards, that's all you're going to need. I'm not going to go into detail on these right now. We've got a whole article on BeCleverWithYourCash.com with the best options. Plus, I'll probably do an update in the podcast and on YouTube in a couple of weeks with those latest options as we get closer to the summer. But they're not going to be fine for everything. There will be times, at least personally, where I like to take some actual physical cash with me before I leave the UK. A lot of good reasons for that. One of them may be access to ATMs. Now, if you're going to a popular destination, that might not be a problem. But if you're going somewhere slightly further afield, you can't rely on there being one that's there, and you can't rely on it necessarily working with your cards. It's a smaller problem than it used to be, but it's still something to be aware of. So I always like to take some cash with me just in case. There's also the chance that when you get out of the airport, first of all, there won't be a cash machine there, but you might need money to pay for that train or that taxi, or when you get to the hotel to tip someone, you haven't changed things up yet. So again, I like to have some money available for me in that point of view. Plus, it's also, not talking about huge amounts here, it's also good, I think, to have as a bit of a backup just in case you were to lose your wallet, get pickpocketed or something like that. At least you've got some money to tide you over a little bit until you work out what you're going to do. So what would you do when you're getting cash itself here in the UK before you go? I imagine a lot of you might just pop to the post office, to your bank, to the local bureau de change, and just swap it over. And you might actually be attracted often by that sign that says 0% commission. You think 0% commission, well, that's perfect, right? Surely that's exactly the same as those specialist fee-free debit and credit cards where you don't get charged anything for your currency swap. Sadly, that isn't true. That 0% commission poster, sign, whatever you see, is effectively a lie. Because although there's no commission added on top of the exchange, they can set their own exchange rates, and they will also add into that a bit of a markup. So you are not getting a perfect exchange rate, or at least a near perfect exchange rate that you would get with Visa and MasterCards or anything that use the interbank rate. So you are paying a markup. So do not just trust 0% commission. Do not just go to the first place available to you. Certainly don't get it at the airport, because the airport is going to be the most expensive place to get it. You're effectively, once you're through security, you've got no choices. Maybe one or two different bureau de change, but effectively you will be paying whatever they want. And that markup, again, maybe 0% commission, but that exchange rate is going to be the least favorable one that you are going to see probably anywhere. So do not just leave it to the last minute. Ideally, what you want to do is plan ahead. I know it's always easier said than done when we're busy lives, but it doesn't take too much time. And by planning ahead, you can find the cheapest possible exchange rate, either in your area or one that possibly could get delivered to you. And that particularly also could be useful if you're traveling to places which aren't using the kind of the more common currencies. You need something that's a little bit rarer. You might actually need to get that sent to you because local places might not have it available, or they might have to order it in. So how do you do this? Well, there is a tool that I like using. It's called Travel Money Max. Just type that into Google, that'll pop up. It's actually part of Money Saving Expert, but that has a decent list, not an exhaustive list. There might be things missing. So if you know some local places, do look at those as well. But a good list of what you're going to be charged to swap, I don't know, whatever it is, you want £500 into dollars, into euros, whatever the exchange, they'll give you how much it's going to cost at each of those different places. And with that, after that information, you can go to that place and you can swap that cash. Now, you are going to get more competition and better rates in somewhere like London, and the smaller the town that you live in, or the village, or wherever it might be, you're going to have fewer and fewer options. So you might not get such a competitive rate, such an opportunity to mix it and match it a little bit. But what you can do in all of those situations, even if you have got access to those big ones in London or another big city, is to look at an option. This has it on the comparison tool, little radio button, tick that, and they give you a choice to see what it'd be like if they were sent to you in the post. Again, this could be much more competitive than your high street options, or it might be more convenient to you, but it's well worth having a look at that one in advance and seeing if you sent through. There might be special offers that you want to look into as well. So you might find like a Nectar, Sainsbury's, or John Lewis, Waitrose with My John Lewis. You might be able to get a little bit of extra there. So do factor that in if it's not showing in the comparison. And those things, do check those out. And you might also, with those ones, be able to get it delivered to a store rather than in the post. So that might be a little bit safer. I've done that in the past. I've picked up in Waitrose, gone and got that money. I've only got to walk 10 minutes back to my house rather than waiting for it to come in the mail, when there's obviously greater risk. Yes, it'll be signed for and so on, but there are greater risks. So just maybe factor that in as well. You might want to go for one which is not quite the cheapest for that extra security. You can also, and this is particularly good if you have left it really late, you can also order money to be collected at the airport. Now, I said don't go to the airport, don't change your money at the airport because it's going to be the most expensive. But if you haven't got the money and you are on your way already there, even 3 or 4 hours in advance, it does depend obviously by airport, but you can often order it at a lower rate in advance from those different places. We know the TravelX or other places. You can order in advance and collect it either ideally before security, because that will be cheaper still, or if not after security, still better than just walking up there and changing the money over. Now, I've got one more tip to share with you when you are doing these currency conversions, particularly if you're doing it in person, in store, but the same thing will apply if the option is there for your ordering online, is to always pay with either cash or your debit card. Never use your credit card for this currency conversion, because if you are, even if it's a specialist fee-free one, it's not going to treat it as a currency conversion. It's going to treat it as a cash withdrawal from your credit card, and that is a bad thing to do for a number of different reasons. One, it's not great for your credit reports, but two, there are a number of charges and fees that get levied on top of that. And effectively, let's say again, £500 to euros, you use your credit card to pay, you're actually buying £500 sterling, or whatever the actual amount they're charging you is, and then that money you've got is being converted at the rate they're given. So the credit card company will add those charges in. So don't do that. Make sure debit card's the safest thing, so you're not carrying loads of cash with you, but do double check there's no extra charges. There shouldn't be. But so cash or debit card for those payments, that is also going to be the best option for you. Now, of course, there are going to be options, as I said, when you are overseas. There will be ATMs. Just bear in mind, some of them, as I said, will charge you for those withdrawals. So you want to try to minimize that as much as you possibly can. So work out what those charges are and maybe take out larger sums rather than lots of small amounts. Maybe take out just a smaller number of larger withdrawals to reduce those fees. But be careful not to carry too much around with you at any one time. And of course, when you are doing that, don't just use your normal debit card for those ATM withdrawals. Do get one of those specialist cards. And as I said, I will do an update on that in a couple of weeks, or head over to becleverwithyourcash.com where you'll be able to see the latest list there. Now, if you are watching this episode of Cash Chats on YouTube, you can click over to the next parts in separate videos. We've got that one looking at Monzo's new extras, perks, and max tiers with those extra features. So have a look at that, see what you can get. These are the ones replacing Pro and Premium. Plus that Trading 212 0.5% cashback card. We've looked into the details of how that works, how to use it, and again, how it compares to other cashback options out there. You can click through now, or you can click through at the end of this, because don't forget, we're also going to look now at deals of the week. First one to tell you about here is if you pick up a copy of the Daily Mirror this week, you'll be able to get a voucher for a free National Trust family pass. That's for 2 adults and 3 kids, I think. Again, you're paying for the paper, but that will still be a lot cheaper than actually paying for that one-day family pass for National Trust if you can just turn up somewhere. So great to go ahead and grab one of those. If you are after some wine, Tesco, Asda, and Sainsbury's have all got that 25% off 6 bottles or more again. Now, these sound like a good deal, but don't be buying them just for the sake of this. Make sure the offers aren't better at other times of the year. And ideally, you want to stack these. So a bottle of wine's already reduced, and then you can get 25% off it. That really can bring the price down and a good option to stock up. Spotify spoke recently about the price hikes that are already in place now for most of us, or we get charged it in the next month. But if you cancelled your Spotify account before the middle of March, before the 18th of March this year, then have a look at your account, have a look at your emails, because you've probably been sent an offer to get 3 months for the price of 1 as a welcome back deal. So you'll pay that new price, that $11.99 a month, but you'll get 3 months in total. So that's a good one to think about. One of the new rules this time around, this offer runs every 2 or 3 times a year, is that you cannot have taken advantage of an offer like this in the last 2 years. So sadly, if you did take advantage of that recently, you won't be able to get it again. Some American Express deal to tell you about. This is not going to be on every single card, but it's certainly worth having a look if the offer is there. Pretty nice one if you plan to travel to America this year and you plan to book it within May, because you can get £350 credit when you spend £700. Now, that might be on one flight, expensive flight, get that back, or you might be, if you've got more than one card, you can add it to more than one card and buy the tickets separately. Again, a lot of money, £700, but if you're planning this trip anyway, this is a really good saving. Also, heads up, John Lewis has Members Week starting on the 1st of May. Don't know what this is going to entail just yet, but do keep an eye out for this, because you have got free membership. If you have joined the My John Lewis scheme, there might be some good discounts and vouchers to use there. And Tesco, they've been rolling out coupons for their customers gradually. I've not had anything until last week, where I got an email saying that I have got 3 vouchers off my shopping. So £3 off £20 valid until this week. And then after that, the week after that, £2 off 20, another £2 off 20. Now, not everyone's going to get it, but if you worth having a look at your Club Card app to see if you can make those savings as well. And this is in-store or online. And one last one to tell you about here very quickly. Again, I wouldn't go for this without doing eligibility search first of all, but HSBC via Quidco are giving £35 cashback if you apply for their Purchase Plus credit card. There's also, until the 5th of May, at least while it lasts, an extra £20 bonus that you have to activate on Quidco. So if that offer is still valid for you, still showing for you, you activate that offer, then apply for this credit card. That's £55 you get without having to do anything at all. Just, of course, if you've then got that credit card, don't just spend with it for the sake of it. This is about one, you might actually want to use it, 0% purchase, and maybe you can stooze a little bit, put that money, you would have spent that into savings accounts, interest on that and delay that. But again, one for some of you to think about, but don't just get it just for the cash if you think you're going to spend on it. And do the eligibility search first of all, so you don't get a mark on your credit report that actually could have been avoided if the chances are you'll be rejected. More information about all these deals over at becleverwithyourcash.com. And in fact, everything else we've spoken about, you can read those articles at the same place. My name is Andy Webb. Join us again on Thursday on YouTube, Friday morning on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for a Your Money This Week edition of the show, breaking down the latest money news with myself and Amelia from the team. And I'll be back on my own next Tuesday with another normal edition of the show. Until next time, cheers.